Hello guys, so we have seen till now three kinds of operons: the lac operon, then the tryptophan operon, and the arabinose operon. Now we'll see a different kind of gene regulation wherein the mRNA transcription is switched on and switched off. It acts like a switch. So wherein if you switch it on, then the lytic phase will start and it will keep on replicating. All right, so we have been studying lambda phage since our childhood. Maybe before birth we were studying this lambda phage cycle. So quickly I'll go through the cycle. This is the E. coli. This is the E. coli. So in the E. coli, to the E. coli there is a bacteriophage infection. This is our bacteriophage which has infected this bacteria and it has released its DNA. This DNA is double-stranded and linear. Double-stranded DNA and it is linear. All right. Now once this DNA comes inside, okay, once this DNA comes inside, it becomes circular. All right, and based on the conditions, based on the growth conditions, if the conditions are good, there is good amount of nutrition, then it will undergo the lytic cycle. And if the conditions are poor for growth, then it will undergo a stage called as the lysogenic cycle. This stage called as lysogenic cycle. What is the difference between lytic cycle and lysogenic cycle? In lytic cycle, the circular DNA, it produces the proteins required for the virus to develop. Those proteins, they get assembled to form the bacteriophage. Those bacteriophage, they lyse the cycle, or they lyse the cell, or they break the cell, and the virions are released to infect other cells. So that is the lytic cycle. Good conditions for growth. Now if the conditions are poor, what happens is this DNA, this bacterial DNA, this bacteriophage DNA, it will get incorporated into the DNA of the E. coli. So this once it gets incorporated, the cell divides, and the bacteriophage DNA also multiplies with that. Now there is a trigger factor like the UV light. UV light, what it does, it breaks the DNA into single-stranded DNA fragments. Single-stranded DNA fragments. Who is doing this? UV light. It causes breaks in the DNA. Once these single-stranded DNA fragments are formed, they will activate a protease. They will activate a protease called as REC-A. Protease called as REC-A. This REC-A will convert a lysogenic cycle into a lytic cycle. REC-A here, it will convert a lysogenic cycle into lytic cycle. How we'll study in later on. But here is the switch, on off switch. Till now it was in off. REC has come and it has switched, or it has turned the switch into on position. Once it is on, what happens is the DNA gets lysed. The DNA gets lysed from the host DNA, and it will again start producing the proteins for virion particles which get assembled to form the bacteriophages. These bacteriophages will again lyse the cycle. This we have been studying since long ages. Okay, so just to repeat, there was an E. coli. This E. coli was infected by a bacteriophage. It has inserted its double-stranded linear DNA. This has become circular, and if the conditions are good, it will multiply inside the host cell and it will produce the proteins for virion particles. They get assembled, new virions are formed, they'll break the cycle. Pakka or pure parasitic cycle. Whereas when the conditions are poor, what it will do is it will hide inside the DNA of the host and it will replicate along with the host. No problems for it to replicate. So it keeps on replicating. So until an event occurs wherein a UV light will cause fragmentation of the DNA into single-stranded DNA fragments, which will activate a protease called as REC-A protease. This REC-A protease will switch the lysogenic cycle into a lytic cycle. Okay. Now, what exactly is this switch? Where exactly is this switch? This switch is present in this part of the DNA, this viral DNA that is there. In that switch is present. Now we'll look into that. We are just taking this part of viral DNA, okay, and we are expanding it. Now I'm expanding that viral DNA, okay. I'm expanding that viral DNA. So this is the viral DNA, okay. Viral DNA, remember, it is not the host DNA, it is the viral DNA. In the viral DNA, there are genes. There are two genes. One gene is for repressor protein, repressor gene, or CI, okay, and the other protein is the other gene is the gene for the CRO protein, okay. We'll call it as CRO or the CRO protein. So this repressor gene, it will produce the protein CI, and this CRO gene, it will produce the protein CRO. It will produce the protein CRO, okay. Now in between these two, there are operator regions and promoter regions. Both overlap each other. This is operator region 1, this is operator region 2, this is operator region OR3, OR2, OR1, operator region 1, 2 and 3. Alright, now let me do some designing just for you to know that these are DNA fragments. Most of us get confused, at least I used to get confused, what was a protein and what was a DNA sequence. I was a student. Alright, so this is a viral gene, this is a viral DNA. In this viral DNA, there are two genes. One is the CRO gene, which will produce a CRO protein. This CRO protein is up to say 66 amino acids, and a repressor protein C called CI, which is of 236 amino acids. Doesn't matter even if you don't remember, I just want you to know the size of it, okay, the size of it. All right, now there are three operator regions: OR1, operator region 1, operator region 2 and operator region 3. Now apart from this, there are two promoters, and these two promoters, they kind of overlap. The promoter for CRO gene extends from OR2 towards the CRO gene, okay, towards the CRO gene. Just a second. Extend towards the CRO gene. Whereas, so this is the promoter for CRO, and the promoter region for the repressor gene, extends from OR2 towards the OR3. Okay, so this is the basic structure. Now an RNA polymerase for the CRO gene, has to bind here, to polymerize this, and an RNA polymerase for CI has to bind here, to polymerize this, okay. So this is the RNA polymerase for CI, and this is the RNA polymerase for the CRO region. All right. Now, function of this CRO protein is it will synthesize, or it will stimulate other transcription for the lytic phase. So once the CRO protein comes, then the lysogenic phase gets converted to lytic phase. The signal for that, the switch for that, is switching on the CRO protein. If the CRO protein is switched on, then the lytic phase will start. Whenever there is this repressor protein CI, this is in the off state, okay. This is in the off state. That means this repressor protein will cause transcription of other proteins which keep the cell in lysogenic stage only. It will prevent it from going into the lytic phase. So the on side of the switch, suppose this is the switch, this is our electrical switch, okay. There is this button which is always so it is towards the off side, okay, and this is the, we put it in green, on side. Now the switch is in the off side when the repressor protein is produced. Repressor CI protein, it is in the off stage, okay. Colors will also confuse. This is CRO and this is CI. So when the CI protein is being transcribed or being synthesized, then it is in the off state. If the CRO protein is synthesized, then it comes in the on state. One thing you need to remember is off to on, this turning of the switch off to on, it is irreversible. You have to note this. It cannot come back. It is irreversible. Other thing about this is, we have seen in our introduction class for gene regulation that there are three types of responses: type A, type B, and type C. So type C response was once the stimulus comes and there is a response, that response goes on and on forever and it doesn't get off, okay. That is the third type of response. So this is a type C kind of response, okay. Now this is the basic one, the viral DNA. In the viral DNA there is a gene for repressor protein CI and a gene for CRO protein. CRO protein causes lytic phase, CI protein causes lysogenic phase. Now there are three operator regions: OR1, OR2 and OR3, okay. And there are two promoter regions: promoter region for the CRO protein and promoter region for the CI protein. All right. Now we will see what these proteins are exactly, okay. So the CRO protein, this is 66 amino acids. it has a single domain. It has a single domain. Okay, so this is the CRO protein, and single domain, only one domain. But this domain, this CRO protein, it will always form a dimer. This CRO protein will always form a dimer. CRO, and there is this dimerization, so it becomes strong. Okay, dimer. This dimer, this CRO dimer has affinity for OR3. We have seen here OR3. This is the 3. For this, CRO protein is having affinity for this. CRO protein is having affinity for this OR3. Okay. Now, if the levels of CRO proteins are going on increasing, suppose the transcription has occurred for CRO protein, if it goes on increasing, then OR3 site plus OR2 site is also occupied. OR3 site and OR2 site is also occupied. If still further it is increased, the levels of CRO, then all the 3 sites will be occupied and transcription of this will end. Just remember for now. Okay, I'll explain what that is. So CRO protein, it is 66 amino acid. It is synthesized from this gene, CRO gene. Okay, so it has a single domain, it dimerizes, and it has predilection for binding with OR3. It loves OR3. It loves OR3. Okay, now coming to our repressor protein. Repressor protein CI. This repressor protein CI, it is made up of 236 amino acids. It's a big protein and it has 2 domains. Okay, it has 2 domains. Let's use this one. Has 2 domains, a carboxylic N and a amino N. Carboxylic is and amino N. So it is having 2 domains. These 2 domains, they will form these 2 domains. They will form, okay, these 2 domains. One is the dimerization domain. And this one, amino terminal, is the DNA binding domain. This is the DNA binding domain. So 2 domains, one is the dimerization domain and the DNA binding domain. So this one also forms dimers, that is 2 molecules of CI will always combine COOH. This is your amino terminal. So this has dimerized here. Okay, this amino terminal is the one. This amino terminal is the one which will bind to the operator region. Which will bind to the here. The same domains can bind to the here. The amino terminals will bind to the DNA molecule. This is the DNA molecule. Where they will bind? They'll bind to the operator region. They'll bind to the operator region. Here in CRO protein, OR3 was their favorite. Here OR1 is their favorite. OR1 is their favorite. Okay, they love OR1. But OR1 comes with a package. OR1 comes with a package. Like we have seen in hemoglobin, if one oxygen binds, then the other oxygen will also bind. Okay, like cooperative binding. Same kind of cooperative binding is there. If a if a CI protein binds to OR1, if it binds to OR1, then another CI protein will bind to OR2, will bind to OR2, another protein. Okay, CI. So at a time, both OR1 and OR2 are occupied. Here on the CRO protein side, first OR3 is bound. If OR3 that site is filled and more CRO protein is there, then only OR2 will be bound. Here OR1 and OR2 are bound in a cooperative fashion. Okay, if one CI protein is bound on OR1, another CI protein will come and bind on OR2 as a cooperative. Whether it is increased or not doesn't matter. Here more CRO should be synthesized for it to occupy OR2. More should be occupied to occupy OR1. Okay, so these are the basics of our CRO protein and repressor protein. Let's just have a look once again what we have seen till now. E. coli, it is infected by bacteriophage. This bacteriophage has got the DNA, viral DNA inside now. If the conditions are favorable, it undergoes Lytix cycle. If they are unfavorable, it gets incorporated into the DNA of host cell, and this will form a lysogenic stage. Then there is an event wherein UV light will break the DNA into single stranded DNA fragments, which will produce protease Rec A. This Rec A will switch the Lytix cycle on. Now how that is happening, we'll see in a while. Before that, the basic structure, viral DNA structure, it is having two genes, the repressor gene and the CRO gene. Between them are the operator sites OR1, OR2 and OR3. Then these are overlapped by promoter regions, promoter region for the CRO protein, promoter region for the CI protein. Now the RNA polymerase for CI will bind on the OR3, OR2 region. RNA polymerase for CRO region will bind on OR1 and OR2. Okay, now CRO protein, which is 66 amino acid, it is the on side of the switch. CI is the off side of the switch. Here we have seen it is irreversible and type C response. CRO protein has a predilection for OR3. What is CI protein having predilection for? Yes, OR1. You see, it is cross, exactly opposite. OR1. Along with OR1, cooperative binding, OR2 is also bound. So when there is a lot of CI, OR2 and OR1 are full. They are packed by CI protein. So RNA-P CRO cannot bind when there is a lot of CI protein. Okay, when there is a lot of CI protein. When there is a lot of CRO protein, OR3 is bound. So RNA-P CI cannot be bound. All right. RNA-P CI cannot be bound. So both are having cross reactions with each other. If there is a lot of CRO, transcription of CI will not happen. If a lot of CI is present, transcription of CRO will not happen. Now we have also seen the proteins, how these proteins are. One is the CRO protein, which is having a single domain. They form dimer and they attach with OR3. If more are there, then they attach to OR2, and more are there, they attach with OR1 also. Now repressor protein CI, it is 236 amino acids. It is having two domains, an amino domain which binds to the DNA, a carboxylic acid domain which dimerizes. So here it has dimerizes, and this amino terminal has bound to the DNA or OR1 region. Once it is bound to OR1 region, the OR2 region is also bound by another molecule of CI in a cooperative fashion. Okay, now the Rec A protein, the Rec A protein or the Rec A protease, it has a lytic action. Lytic action. What does it break? It breaks these bonds. It breaks these bonds. The rec A protein, it breaks here. When it breaks here, what will happen? The repressor protein Ci, will get damaged, and it will leave the OR. It will leave the OR1 and OR2 sites. It will leave the OR1 and OR2 sites. Okay, we'll see. So what is the function of rec A? Rec A will damage the Ci protein or the repressor protein. Now let us look what is happening. So this, if these are viral DNA, this is our viral DNA. Okay, then this is having this CRO gene, and here we are having the Ci gene, Ci repressor gene. This is the chain. Okay, so this is O R3, OR2 and OR1. Okay, OR1. So this Ci gene, when there are poor conditions, garib, unfavorable conditions, what happens is this Ci gene, it will produce the Ci protein. This Ci protein, which is produced, okay, it will form a dimer. And this dimer, because it loves OR1, it will go and bind with OR1. Okay, so this is Ci. This is the amino terminal end, and this is the carboxy terminal end. Okay, so once it binds with OR1, because of cooperative binding, it will also bind another Ci molecule on OR2. Now binding of OR1 and OR2. Now we know that where is the promoter site? The promoter site was here. Promoter for CRO protein. This was a promoter site for CRO protein. Now this promoter site is occupied by the Ci repressor protein. That is why the RNA polymerase, it cannot bind this RNA polymerase. I don't know why I'm drawing this shape. RNA polymerase, it cannot bind, so CRO cannot be produced. When there is no CRO, what will happen is lytic phase is in the off stage, that is Ci protein is produced. This will cause lysogenic cycle. Okay, this Ci protein. Now once the Ci protein is produced, OR3 site is free. And this OR3 site is free. We know that this site is our promoter for Ci protein. So this RNA polymerase, okay, this RNA polymerase, it is binding here. RNA polymerase for Ci, this is for CRO, this is binding here, and this will transcribe an mRNA. This mRNA for Ci, this mRNA will transcribe into will translate into Ci protein. Now once the CI protein goes on increasing, once the CI proteins goes on increasing, what will happen is, suppose this mRNA has come and a lot of CI proteins are synthesized. Lot of them are synthesized. So what happens when they are synthesized? When a lot of them are synthesized, this RNA polymerase cannot bind, because this extra CIs that are formed, they will again form a homodimer and they will also bind here. So OR3 site is also full now, and this polymerase RNA polymerase for CI cannot bind. Okay, so what happens? This transcription is also blocked when a lot of CI is produced. This happens till this site again becomes free. Okay, slowly what happens is, these proteins, they get reduced in number. Once they get reduced in number, again this site becomes free. Once this site becomes free, again RNA polymerase will come and bind. I know, a bit confusing. Okay, let's not just go into that. That was auto-regulation of CI. Basically what is happening, CI gene, when the conditions are poor, CI gene is producing CI. This CI protein forms a dimer which binds with OR1, and by cooperative binding another CI is bound to OR2. There is no place for RNA polymerase of this gene to polymerize the mRNA, so it remains in the lysogenic cycle, and this protein will keep the cell in the lysogenic cycle. Suppose, just in case, these CI proteins are increased, it will auto-regulate the levels of CI. How? It will bind this site also, and it will prevent RNA polymerase for this to bind. So once the levels decrease, again this site becomes free and RNA polymerase will come and bind, and it will go. But these two sites are never left vacant. CI will always be there on these two sites. Okay, it will never be left vacant. So that is how lysogenic cycle is continuing. Now comes our Amrish Puri. Who is that? REC-A protein. Suppose UV light has come and it has done damage to DNA. DNA is damaged and DNA has released the REC-A protein. REC-A protein. This REC-A protein will cause havoc now. What it will do is, it will break these two bonds. So what happens when this is broken, the CI protein is broken, what will happen is, these two sites, they'll become free. When these two sites are free, what will happen? RNA polymerase will immediately come. And it will bind here. RNA polymerase will immediately come and bind here, and it will transcribe the mRNA. It will transcribe the mRNA. So mRNA for CRO gene has come. This has produced our CRO protein. Okay, this CRO protein immediately will dimerize. CRO immediately will dimerize. Now CRO protein loves which operator region? Yes, operator region 3. It will go and bind to operator region 3. Once it binds to operator region 3, operator region 1, 2 are anyways free, because there is no CRO protein, no CI protein, because it has been broken down by REC-A. So RNA polymerase CRO will keep on synthesizing the CRO protein. This CRO protein will bind on OR3. It will not leave this site. Once CRO protein is bound, what happens to RNA polymerase for CI? It cannot bind. If it cannot bind, what will happen? This cannot happen. This polymerization cannot happen. So once CRO protein comes, it will stop CI from production, stops, or it switches this off and it switches this on. This CRO protein will cause further transcription, further production of proteins, which will cause lytic cycle to occur. Once this switch is turned to this side, once the switch is turned to this side, on, off, there is no turning back, because this is irreversible and the cell goes into lytic cycle. Okay, I hope it is clear. CRO protein, once it is formed, how it is forming, what is the basic mechanism? This REC-A, it damaged the CI protein which was present here on OR1 and OR2. So once they are broken, OR1 and OR2 becomes free. RNA polymerase for your CRO protein will come and bind. It will synthesize the mRNA. CRO protein is produced. They immediately dimerize. These dimers, they go and bind with OR3. Once it is bound with OR3, RNA polymerase for CI cannot bind here. So production of CI totally stops and only production of CRO goes on happening. This CRO, we have seen that it will undergo lytic cycle. So this CRO, once it is increasing in number, then it will bind to OR2 and finally it will bind to OR1 also. Now why it binds to OR1? If it binds to OR1, RNA polymerase of CRO, it cannot synthesize anymore. Yes, that is what is exactly required, because too much CRO protein also will cause hindrance to the lytic cycle. Only a little amount of CRO protein is there. Why it is that? It is beyond the scope of my class. It requires a lot of in-depth study. For now, just remember that CRO protein levels also should not be too much. If they are too much, what it will do, it will auto-regulate itself. Okay, it will stop production. How? It will come and bind to OR1. OR1, when it bounds, this will stop, and CRO protein will also stop. Okay, so basically CRO protein, once it is produced, it switches the lytic cycle on and the lytic cycle continues. Okay, so that is how a switch off and on occurs because of variation in the conditions, favorable, unfavorable, or an event such as UV light damage of DNA. Okay, thank you.